Welcome in Phoenix Esports League family to your Week 4 matchup, High on Meeps versus CSU. My name is Yanni. I'm joined here by Bickle and Bickle. These are two teams that this series could really define the rest of their season, and we're only in Week 4.
Absolutely. Both teams off to a little bit of a rough start. High on Meeps, 1-6 currently, taking on CSU, who sit at 2-4. So CSU does have that series win that High on Meeps does not necessarily have at the moment. But the last time we saw the Meeps come out, they took on Spartan Shield. And though they did fall, it was a really damn good series to watch.
Yeah, those games were highly competitive. I was really surprised at what High on Meeps brought to the table. That was against an undefeated team. Meanwhile, you've got CSU on the other side who didn't look so hot the last time out. That was just last night.
Absolutely, yeah. They fell to the Clowns last night, I believe, and things weren't too hot for them overall. So they're going to be looking to try and bounce back in that tonight.
Yeah, it just felt like things weren't coming together. They tried some different compositions. They tried to play for the early game, and they couldn't get it done. They tried to play for the late game, and they got run over. And, the games were close for a while, but it just felt like they lacked the necessary punch to get it through. But now, on a back-to-back, we could see, is this a team in free fall if they fall to the Meeps?
That is a good question, just to kind of see how they're able to rebound off a really rough start with this. I think a lot of eyes are going to be on the bot lane of CSU with Silver Potato and Miss Pro Evolution to see how they can kind of handle themselves. They've seemed to struggle a lot a bit with some of these strong pushing lanes like the Lucian Nami, like this Heimerdinger support that has become so prevalent. Yes, we are on 13.1b, so we have seen some nerfs to the likes of the Heimerdinger, but stuff like the Varus and the Ashe still very prevalent. So it'll be interesting to see how they can respond to stuff like this, and if High on Meeps is able to counteract that.
Yeah, and Varus is a champion that Sangesia on High on Meeps likes to play quite a bit, so I'm interested to see what the draft strategy is there. I think for CSU, though, the strategy is continue with Cowrie State University. She is a force in the mid lane, and despite the loss last night, showed every bit of it.
Absolutely. Really going to be looking like the strong win condition out of CSU to see what they can do. It's going to be on Donut on the side of High on Meeps to try and contain them.
Yeah, and we saw yesterday they got contained a little bit on the other side, but overall still 8 at the very least. The rest of the team just did not work out for them. It feels like it's just the Pika Chump and Cowrie show for CSU, and I don't know if that's enough to get them over the line, and if they can't get it done against High on Meeps, I don't know who they can get it done against.
Absolutely. You got to think that CSU may be a bit of a desperation fall right here. They're trying to stop a bit of a slow start, trying to rebound. High on Meeps is that chance. If they fall here, they may need to make some changes coming into the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I don't know what their mental is going to look like coming into this game. Take me through these champion picks here for each side. I mean, there are certainly some champions that you need to watch out for both of these teams.
Absolutely. Usually when we're looking at picks, we're always going to look at what's been strong as of recent, what's been the most prevalent meta coming around. And as we've mentioned, we've seen these pushing bots like the Varus, like the Sivir, with kind of this Heimerdinger Yumi coming out. But what these teams tend to prefer can be a bit different at times. For the sides of the likes of High on Meeps, we tend to see a bit more different bot lane. Yes, they have access to things like the Varus and the Ashe, but also be on the lookout for things like the Caitlyn or the Nyla, which could throw a bit of a change into the work. Donut in particular, very comfortable on that Vex overall. I think we may see some interesting picks up top lane. Egashira and Berserker really fond of some very odd picks in a sense. We see things like the Garen, like the Urgot, the Mundo, the Darius, the Nasus even. So it'll be really interesting to see what might be pulled out in this series.
Yeah, and one thing I've noticed, especially about CSU, because they've been on stream so much, is that Egashira likes to play these champions like Darius, like Nasus, like Mordekaiser, but the rest of the team doesn't seem to select champions that highlight the strengths of the champions that Egashira likes to play, and in fact, just don't really meld together too well with the compositions.
Absolutely. You really think that if they're going to continue to play around some of these picks like the Darius and the Mord, the rest of CSU is going to be able to need to form that comp around it. Not have that as almost the odd man out, but find a way to synergize the rest of the comp with it.
Yeah, and that is the big question as we are getting ready to get into the draft. We should be ready quite soon. And, as you mentioned, there are so many priority picks to highlight in these lanes. But at this level of play, you expect some comfort bands getting taken away. I'd expect the Vex and the Swain to go off the board if you're the side of CSU. Don't want to deal with those.
Absolutely. Strong picks all around for the likes of Donut and Narshil. Strong picks within solo queue, and they've shown prevalence in the past with it. It'll be interesting to see if that is the route the side of CSU decides to go down in terms of bans. Whereas high on Meeps, they have a lot more options to look at, not necessarily the one-trick ability that the likes of Vex and Swain have shown in the past, but Cowrie in particular has shown so many different picks that they potentially want to roll into, but they've definitely had a high prio on some of these strong dueling AD mid laners like the Aurelia, Zed, Katarina are some of their favorites.
Yeah, and some of them have been taken away. The Aurelia and the Zed have been respected a lot. We saw an Ahri come out last time around. I still haven't seen a Katarina out of Cowrie yet. I'm really waiting for that. I've been wanting to see some Azir play in this league for some time. It's a pretty solid pick, but I'm quite surprised that it hasn't been picked up yet. Maybe it's just the teams are afraid they're not able to build something cohesive around them. But CSU, they have to try to think of something different here, go ahead with a different strategy because what they've been trying hasn't been working. They are unable to translate their leads.
Absolutely, and Azir, like you mentioned, is one of those high prevalence and high prio mid lane picks. It's got good range with you, it scales extremely well in the late game, becomes such a damage threat, and along with that, gives you good lane control, good poke out potential, and helps you push in these lanes, and if you ever want to roam, Azir can bring that to you along with some late game potential. So it'll be interesting to see if necessarily some of these teams looking for a change up pivot towards some of those scaling mid laners. But as we mentioned, we are into game number 1's draft. CSU will be on the blue side this game, high on Meeps on the red.
Interesting thing to note that I've just noticed, there's a couple of changes on the side of both teams, it looks like. I'm not sure if this is a name change for Berserker or not, but I do know that it looks like Cowrie is lined up to go top, and Freshy, their sub, is going to get in, as well as Cursed Rise, two of their substitutes. So, this could really throw a big wrench into the plans. You are sending your best player up in the top lane, where if they feast on an island, it'll be excellent, but we're not sure how they're going to be able to translate to the rest of the game. But one thing we can tell you about the game is the bans so far. Renata, Glask, Xin gone. Morgana, Yuumi, gone. No surprises.
Praise the Lord, there's no cat.
Yep, and I mean,
got no cat.
Listen, I'm so happy that champion is getting gutted too.
Yeah, good riddance. You will not be missed. But there go some of the mid lane champions we've been talking about. The Vex taken off the table of Donut, and along with that, the Aurelia of Cowrie, though they are appearing to be lining up in that top lane, still a strong pick that can be gone that way. But the first pick is going to be a scaling late game 80 carry picked up for the sides of CSU. Silver Potato's going to grab that Jinx.
Yeah, and what was really strange is last time out, they paired it up with a Nami after first picking Nami, and it was largely okay. It wasn't exactly fantastic. So I'm interested to see what they're going to pair up with it. I mean, when you first pick Jinx, that's super risky. There are so many good champions to pick in response to that.
Absolutely. When you're looking at something like that Jinx, you want to either give her something that's a bit safer with the mobility, something like the Thresh or Braum in a defensive manner, or pair it up with something to enhance the Jinx even more, something like that Lulu. But Meeps, meanwhile, going to be grabbing the Zac, a very strong pick all around right now. High win rates within solo queue in a quadra flex technically, though I doubt we see it going mid lane. Very strong in the top, jungle, and mid and support right now. And the Varus that we had previously mentioned, that pushing bot lane coming in for high on Meeps.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I thought. It was something they were going to pick high on Meeps. You know, once you see the Jinx, you just go, oh, you know what? We'll take something that can easily lock her down. I mean, that Zac's going to be flying in from screens away, as well as the Varus with the ultimate to be able to try to lock that Jinx down. Set looks like they'll be the pickup here. So Zac goes in, Zac goes out. You can't explain that, or you can. It's the Set throwing him out.
Exactly. With that, Facebreaker has a nice interrupt on the Elastic Slingshot, and like you mentioned, the Showstopper, able to just take him right out, dunk him into the backline, using all of his bonus health against his friends. And that could be a very nice flex there, likely heading towards that top lane. We'll still have to wait and see. But there's the support we've been talking about. What's getting paired up with the Jinx? It is the Janna, shielding to buff her up alongside some Peel with that Howling Gale.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a pretty solid pick to pair up with the Jinx here, and especially against the Zac.
Absolutely. The Set and the Janna really just scream anti-Zac engage right now. You cannot go in. You cannot land in our backline. And there's going to be the pair-up support as well for Meeps. They are bringing out the Nami to pair with this Varus, trying to make a lot stronger of a bot duo. Varus, of course, still has options, can go that poke style we've seen, or the on-hit style that has also become prevalent.
Now into the second phase of bans. Interested to see what these teams have left on the table that want to get taken out. I mean, it looks like, there's a lot of questions still with CSU's team as players as a whole. As a composition, it seems pretty okay. Hi, all Meeps, I like what they're doing. They're going to take a Kayn out, and it looks like the junglers are the ones being focused out. Trundle getting taken out as well. That champion is a pub stomper at this level.
Absolutely. So it seems like CSU, with that Trundle ban, expect the Zac to be heading up towards the top side. Top lane Zac has become very prevalent as of recent, taking advantage of the good 2-item combo of Radiant Virtue alongside Demonic Embrace. Healthy with his ultimate, can heal up his team a little bit, and also does a lot of damage. But the next ban coming out is going to be that Yasuo, targeted towards the mid lane.
You know, you mentioned it with the Trundle ban that the Zac could go top. That doesn't necessarily mean the Zac goes top. This could just be a case where they're like, you know what, we're going to respect the Zac flex and take out some high priority champions in roles that he may already fill. You know, Alawi getting banned as well. That's a top lane champion. So that's just why this team composition is so good and why Zac is such a good pick, especially at a priority, because he can literally go anywhere, as you mentioned.
Absolutely, so much flexibility available with that Zac. If they decide to pivot it down towards the jungle, then surprise, you just banned you wasted a Trundle ban. It sent it top, surprise, you wasted an Alawi ban. So there's a lot of flexibility still here with the Zac, depending on what High on Meeps wants to do with this. We do have a pick still left here before it loops around to CSU. I personally would expect the mid to keep the Zac flex available so they don't necessarily know what is being picked, and it is going to be heading mid lane. We get the Ziggs locked in. A good artillery mage, non-raid pushing.
Are you sure it's heading mid?
No, because there is that slight chance this is an AP Varus mid with a Ziggs bot.
Listen, we saw a Ziggs bot in the last series. I mean, it's something that players have played in this league, and I mean, this team that High on Meeps has crafted together, the Varus, the Ziggs, that is poke city, baby. It's going to be so difficult for CSU to really get into these fights. I'm fearful for them, especially since two of their members don't have a lot of health right now, and their other two members might not either, depending on what they elect to pick up here. Really interested to see if they are...
that doesn't have health either.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. I'm wondering if they're going to go after something that really takes advantage of the Varus and the Ziggs, you know, being, I guess you could call Ziggs immobile, but fairly immobile.
Yeah, a little bit immobile. We'll see that with the Echo right now. Has his ability
Vi.
to dive in.
Pick
Vi would
Vi.
be great here. Vi would be phenomenal here. Just instant point-and-click lockdown with the cease and desist. Whatever you're looking for. Such great ultimate right now. Pairs well with a tank-style build that's become very popular with Radiant Virtue. Of course, Radiant Virtue on the table to get some nerfs next patch to bring it away from being that ever-present item. As a support main, I'm sad, but as someone who watches a lot of League, good, it's become too present. But right now, CSU locking in the last pick. It's going to be the Kled, actually.
Ooh. Kled is something that we saw in the last match as well. And it was on the other side, it wasn't for CSU, but it's a champion that does have a fair amount of impact. I like the little movement speed synergies they have, Kled and Janna, but outside of that, I'm not quite sure I'm sold on the CSU composition. And Fiora will be the lock-in for High on Meeps, so it does look like they're going to send Zac into the jungle. Remains to be seen where they're going to send Varus or Ziggs. I'd imagine it's going to be a Ziggs mid lane, but stranger things have happened. Nami doesn't exactly give as many benefits to Ziggs.
Absolutely. Nami's Tide Color Blessing, of course, does still apply to spells, but you're really going to benefit from it on an 80 carry like the Varus. That's where you're going to see the most usage out of that E from her. Fiora in that top side, of course, such a strong split pusher, such a strong lane bully with those vital passives, getting the extra percent max HP damage. Always going to be great in dueling. She's the grand duelist for a reason. Meanwhile, for CSU, they still do have a little bit of flexibility as we don't know where everything is going.
I was just about to say that.
My guess is this is an Echo Jungle and a set mid, but we'll have to wait and see necessarily.
I think that's what it's going to be. I mean, who knows? We could see set support in Janna mid, although I don't think that's necessarily great. They could do it. It is an option. But no,
absolutely they could.
I think this will more so be a set mid. I mean, we saw Faker play it earlier. The season's barely started, but we saw Faker already pull it out this season in the mid lane. Everybody loves Faker. Even if you hate Faker, you love Faker. So there are plenty of players that would like to emulate Faker. So this could be Freshy getting it. Who knows? This Kled could maybe even be in the jungle. I don't think he's a jungler per se, but there's options here, and we're going to actually see them get locked in here. It looks like this Kled is probably going to go top lane for Kaori, but these players are also known to troll us and swap champions around until 22nd.
Absolutely. I was going to say, I don't know the last time I saw a Kled jungle, but it's not out of the question. It's very interesting to see how things line up overall. And you mentioned people wanting to emulate Faker. I hope that's the emulation we get, because I really don't want to see any Caitlyn or Kalista supports in this game, please.
Ooh, no, I want to see those. Let me tell you something.
Oh, God.
I was duoing last night with a buddy of mine. I play AD carry, play support as well. I mostly Thresh. And the game I got support, I was like, I'm going to play Thresh. I'm like, I can play Kalista. I could play Caitlyn. Oh, no, Caitlyn's banned. I'll pick Thresh this time, but maybe I should have picked Kalista.
Yeah, Kalista support, definitely something interesting.
My LP was happy I picked Thresh, but I was a little sad I didn't pick Kalista.
Your LP was happy, but your heart was sad. Exactly. The heart wants what it wants, Yanni.
Yep, and the teams want what they want and the roles that they have. It looks like we're going to see Ziggs in the mid lane. Not too surprising, obviously. It's just a pipe dream that sometimes these get flexed. Varus isn't exactly what I would call like a hard flex, like something like a Zac is, but it's something you could do. So it looks like the lineups are going to be Kled, Echo, Set, Jinx, Janna from top to bottom, and then Fiora, Zac, Ziggs, Varus, Nami for the side of High on Meeps. So the team compositions are set here. The champions for now are set. Bickle, what do you think of these two team compositions?
I think right now CSU has a lot of eggs in Silver Potato right now, relying on this Jinx late game carry. If Cursed Rise can't necessarily get a lead going on this Echo, Jinx is going to be their only damage threat, whereas the side of High on Meeps with the Ziggs Varus have a lot of poke as this game goes on. If you're ahead with a poke comp, it can be very hard to deal with. Add in the fact that you're going to have a Fiora who's a menace in the side lane. I personally like what High on Meeps has drafted.
Yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of it as well, although I will say CSU's protection for Silver Potato is pretty good. I think Set offers a solid amount of protection depending on, how a fight shakes out. Zac goes in, Set can then protect the Jinx by throwing the Zac into the rest of his team and engage a fight that way and create a lot of space. Kled and Echo are your divers, and then you got Janna back there for, in case of emergency, hit the R button. And that should allow Silver Potato a lot of room to cook. But Fiora, split pushing. Fiora versus Kled on the split push is a question mark. As you mentioned, the poke out of Ziggs Varus, there might not be enough protection in the world for Silver Potato for that onslaught.
Absolutely. There's only so much you can peel and heal and shield away. At some point, this Ziggs Varus is going to be becoming a lot to deal with. It'll be interesting to see if Varus decides to head down that poke route with lethality, or decides to go more the on-hit, reliable later game carry and let the Ziggs do all the poking. I think that'll be definitely something to keep an eye on as we go into game. Honestly, we should be able to tell pretty quickly if they head for more of a Comet or Hail of Blades, or they decide to go the standard lethal tempo.
Yeah, and we will find out once we get in, because, we can't see Runes and Masteries when we're waiting out here in the spectator delay, but that's where we are for now, but that's only for now. When we return, we'll give you all the action for Game 1 between High on Meeps and CSU. It's the Phoenix Esports League. Welcome back, Phoenix Esports League family. We are in game here on Summoner's Rift for tonight's matchup between High on Meeps and California State University East Bay. High on Meeps over on the well, God, I forgot what side they were on. I'm looking at it right in front of my face. I was looking at it right in front of my face and just absolutely brain farted. Oh, what side they're on? Yes, they are on the red side. Meanwhile, CSU over on the blue side. A couple of changes in the roster that we saw. Not quite sure if that is, because somebody couldn't make it, or if, they realized, hey, things didn't go so well. And on a back-to-back, we want to change things up, give our team a bit of a fresh identity.
Absolutely. And just something to note coming into the game, we do see that lethal tempo picked up by Seginka on the Varus, so likely going to be seeing that on-hit attack speed build, not so much the poke style. Also something to note, CSU opting for double Ignite in the solo lanes. Cowrie and Freshy Fresh running that Ignite, going to be looking for a lot more of that kill threat, where we see Philos Cloaca and Seginka, again, running that Ghost, so stronger in the team fights, and also the run-down potential.
So I'm a huge fan of the Ghost pick on the Varus, personally, especially the team composition that's on the side of CSU. But what do you think about this Fiora going Ghost up in the top lane?
I can understand it when you're looking at extended trades, trying to be able to run down, but usually when you or you're trying to trade, but actually it's a fight up top.
Yeah, Philos Kokla doing a very good job on the early trades, although Cowrie gets a little bit back. Like I mentioned the joke earlier, it's Cowrie State University. I'm interested to see what her effectiveness is going to be up in the top lane.
Absolutely, and with this state, you have to think Cowrie's a bit happy. Has that Ignite, plus still has his potion available. Philos Kokla has already burned it.
Oh, Philos Kokla could be in a lot of trouble here, and Cowrie will pull them in. The Ignite is massive. First blood going over to the former star mid laner, now top laner, at least for this game, and more fighting in the bot lane. Nothing too crazy, but Silver Potato and Miss Provolution looking a lot better than they were yesterday.
Absolutely, and we saw Cowrie make great use of his remount there. Got his trading in, was able to use those blows off an early level 2. Got him that joust to able to pull through and get that extra damage out alongside the Ignite, won him that early trade.
And Donut, unfortunate move there. Tried to get themselves out with their own W, but they instead had to flash. Now, Dorgard in the area takes a little bit of damage themselves. But it ends up being a flash-for-flash trade overall. Cursed Rise burned theirs.
Absolutely. Flash for flash, always going to be strong when you're a strong gang, but bot side.
Let's see if they're going to get a kill onto Singishia here. Doesn't look like they are, or else Spectator would tell us that they were. Cowrie with a 2-level lead, continuing to abuse it. 2-0 on this Kled. Man, I hate that champion.
Absolutely. Kled, A with a lead, and B just able to press his advantage. Didn't even need the Ignite that time, was already up to 2 levels. Just gives him that strong dueling potential. And Philos Cloaca likely is used to having that early advantage as a Fiora, using those vital procs to necessarily trade and get themselves that advantage. When you're down 2 levels like that, you can't take that trades. And because of that, Cowrie's coming back to lane at 4 minutes with a finished Tiamat.
Yeah, Cowrie, she is just absolutely insane. Like we've mentioned, has been the star player. A big thing about Fiora now, given the state of the game, that Ghost loses a lot of its effectiveness. At this point, you'd rather have like a teleport, for example, to really make some map plays and scratch out some CS in the mid to late game, but it's not going to be the case this time around.
Absolutely. Usually when you have a Ghost, hold on!
Oh my god, Cowrie, please! Cowrie, please! This Fiora's got a family! Cowrie, please! There's the parry coming out, and Fiora will dash away, will be able to stay alive, but it's just going from bad to worse, and now the CS lead's going to really grow for Cowrie.
Yeah, here's where you'd like to have that TP, like you mentioned, instead having that Ghost, which not going to have that much usage because you're not going to be winning these trades whatsoever. Cowrie's been absolutely dominating this top side, and the only reason they didn't get another solo kill up there was because of that riposte.
Yep, luckily one of the strongest abilities in the game lives up to its name, and thankfully able to survive that, because that is pretty rough sledding. Cowrie. All right.
Fast back.
Yeah, honestly true. True.
Ignore the fact that they were about to get a demolished product and grab the plate, totally just a fast back.
Yep. You know, they got one plate anyway at the very least, which is okay. But does feel kind of bad. It wasn't, you know, we say a fast back, but in reality, there's about a 5-second slower back by dying there. Maybe even more.
Probably a little bit more, but right now, Dorgard sees how bad top lane is turning out. They're trying to look down bot side, see if they can help Saginka on this Varus get ahead. So that makes sense why we see Cursed Rise already down here as well, looking to potentially match, because they know this is where Dorgard's going to try and make action happen.
And they want to fight here. The Ignite gets burnt. Flash knockup. Sangisha is in a lot of trouble here, and Silver Potato will come out on top with a little bit of help from Janna. They managed to find a kill in the bot lane. They found kills in the top lane. Things not looking so hot for High on Meeps to start the game.
It's a disaster right now. Hold on.
Here comes Kled. Kled with the dive because you got the ultimate. And really, is there anything this poor Fiora can do? Cowrie on a killing spree.
Absolute domination topside. Hits the level 6, dives the tower with the charge, and just takes her down. Just pressing this lane advantage so much. Up 20 CS. About to be up 2 plates. Philos Cloaca still with only that ghost, has not found any usage out of it, and it's just been absolutely being dominated in this lane by Cowrie.
Yeah, Philos Kokla picked up the ghost because they are 0-3, right? They brought the summoner spell to cosplay what they are doing. They are constantly dying up in this top lane, so it only makes sense.
Absolutely. Something else to note, Freshy going for that serrated Dirk early, so we may be seeing a bit of a lethality style, possibly a Prowler's Call, looking to get in for that easy pull-in off the Facebreaker.
What do you think of that? I'm personally not a fan. I think they need a little bit of a tanky member. It would really complement the rest of their team pretty well. Well, hold that thought as Dorgard is going to fly into this fight. Doesn't land on anybody, but splits them up. Silver Potato flashing over the wall, and a fail flash out of Sangisha, unable to catch up to that Jinx. And now Cursed Rise is shown up to the top lane. Philos Kokla had no idea, but no stun able to be had.
Leave Fiora alone. She's been through enough already. But like you mentioned with that... Hold on a second.
Oh, man. Everything's getting cut off here as Cowrie just continues to bully the Fiora, even taking trades that don't necessarily go the way of Cowrie, if only to get these demolished procs off. 3 turret plates now for Cowrie.
Billy, I want to talk about why I agree with you that Freshy should probably go and be a tanky, but...
You might want to disagree. Oh, the flash and the remount. Things are just going from bad to worse for this Fiora.
Yeah, Cowrie apparently doesn't like me talking about anybody on this team but her, because 4-1-0 on this Kled, the only death coming to that execution. About to take this top lane tower in 9 minutes.
Yeah, Cowrie, such a consistently good force, and what a knockup from downtown. No, they took their foot off the gas, and you could tell it ends up being a 1-for-1. That should have been a 1-for-0, Bickle.
Absolutely should have been a 1-for-0 there, but the piercing arrow able to come off in the end. And actually, we see for Varus picking up a blasting one. Oh, come on!
Oh, no, please, stop. Stop the madness. Although, that's a good ultimate. Donut able to pick one up from downtown. And now here comes Dorgard in the area. Cowrie has nowhere to go. And a huge shutdown going over to this Fiora.
That's what you get for picking on Philos Cloaca.
Yeah, listen. Yeah. The rest of the squad said, you know what, we gotta help our teammate out. They're having a bit of a rough time. You know, they're a family in this household.
Absolutely, and something I wanted to bring up, we see a blasting wand picked up by Saginka on this Varus, meaning we're going to be getting a Nashor's Tooth. So actually an AP Varus, which is usually brought out against more tanks. In all honesty, with the fact that Donut already is going towards that Leandry's mid, I'm not a fan of this. I think they're much more likely to benefit from just that Kraken Slayer mid. But hold on.
Oh, let's see if Freshy can find a way out. They couldn't throw that Zac too far, and Donut is able to pick up their second kill of the game.
Absolutely. Dorgard doing their best, trying to turn some things around, getting Donut some kills, trying to get them back into this game, finding the only advantage they necessarily can, as their other 2 lanes are having a rough time right now.
And back to your point about lanes being rough and this itemization in the bottom lane, I agree with you. When you have a Zac and a Ziggs on your team with the Nami giving you some extra magic damage behind it, your only physical damage threat is this Fiora, who has struggled. I think it's a bit of a miscue there by the AD carry, but here comes the Nami ultimate. It's going to land onto one member, that's Silver Potato. Dorgard flying in over the wall, and now a knockup, but they are right next to the Jinx, and the ultimate gets interrupted. Miss Provolution, a huge miscue, and it's going to be a 2-0 in the bot lane. They give him over to Donut, as he is crazy right now, 4-0.
Absolutely. Donut really going to be looking to be the one to try and carry this game as they go on. 4-0-1 at the moment. Had a great roam down there with Dorgard to partner up, and they were able to dive onto Silver Potato and Miss Provolution to be able to lock up that double kill, picking up the Leandries. That is the first mythic on the board. And something else I want to point out, Freshy, we were talking about the lethality early, actually sold their Dirk and are heading towards a Blade of the Rune King.
That's so inefficient is the problem. I mean, you know, it's a choice, but the inefficiency of selling, I mean, you know, it's such a huge cut.
Absolutely. Losing so much gold value right there. Now 1,100 gold behind Donut right now. And a lead that was really dominant at the start off of Cowrie's phenomenal play is down to just about 1,000 gold.
Yeah, and I think a really big reason for that is because Donut has been able to translate their lead elsewhere. You know, they got that ultimate up in the top lane that got them a kill, then the gank mid, and then they went bottom lane, right? They went bottom lane, they imposed their will on the map. We haven't seen Cowrie do that quite yet.
Absolutely. So far the early game was really in favor of CSU there, specifically through Cowrie. But as we've gotten a little bit more into the game, High on Meeps has been able to claw back a little bit, specifically through Donut, and even Siginka pulling up a little bit, getting a bit done with this Varus. Yes, Philos Cloaca is still behind, but they're just going to be looking to side lane right now and kind of get themselves any closer into this game. So far, objectives have been split. We saw the first Dragon of the game go over to High on Meeps with that Dragon focus bot side, but the Herald went over to CSU as they took down the top lane tier 1. Our next Dragon is in 45 seconds, and I think that's where going to be our next big breakout fight will be.
Yeah, and that's really where this game could turn on its head. It is a 2,000 gold lead right now for CSU, but most of, if not all of that gold lead is on that Kled upstairs. You see Kled hanging around on the bottom side because of the lack of teleport, and we see Dorgard with a huge engagement. Look at the combos by this team. They get wiped, and Kled is going to be in the middle of 4 members. Cursed Rise is in the area to try to help out as well, trying to get on top of Narshil, but Narshil half HP, surviving. Cowrie continuing the fight, looking to take out Dorgard, sequestered them off. Narshil goes down. Cursed Rise dropping the ultimate. It's good, but the blobs are out. It's still a 2v2 for right now. Let's see if they can get Zac back up. Cowrie dismounted, goes down, but a huge pickup there for Cursed Rise, and it turns out to be a quadra kill for the Echo. A huge turnaround. That's exactly what they wanted.
Absolutely. This game was going so well for the side of CSU until High on Meeps started to pull it back, but Cursed Rise pulls out all the stops on this Echo, comes out with a quadra kill off a great rewind from the chrono break to get themselves back to healthy status, able to dive in, pop Zac's blob passive, and then pick off Donut and Narshil at the end there to lock up some kills. Something so important there. Philos Cloaca, we mentioned it with the Ghost, not having access to that teleport. That was a 5v4. And something
2-0 in that bottom fight. They came there first, did High on Meeps, and then they lost a 2v4 from there.
Absolutely. It looked so great off of Dorgard, getting that great engage off the Zac, the pick onto the bot duo of Silver Potato and Miss Provolution. But Cowrie and Cursed Rise did so much work in that fight. They came out so clutch in the end, and it secures them that Cloud Dragon, which now pushes us towards Hextech Soul.
Bit of a nombo in that mid lane, and that's not the first time something like that has happened, but that's okay. But yes, as you mentioned, getting closer to that Hextech Soul, you know, there's a chance that this game may end before we see a Soul, but Hextech, one of the stronger Souls. Who knew that Static Shiv would be a great item to have, even in today's day and age when the item can no longer be purchased?
Yeah, even better considering it slows. Who would have guessed? But yeah, hex gates in particular just add so much influence into the map, allow for faster rotations, and you can get wherever you need to much quicker than people may expect. Hold on.
Oh, Cowrie knows how strong they are, and they are trying to pick up the Zac while the passive is down. But the mount is down. Cowrie falls. Philos Kokla is in the middle of the fight. It's a pretty good parry. The ultimate comes out, but Philos Kokla wins the fight. And now this Echo is in a lot of trouble, but does have Chrono Break available. Is going to flash, trying to delay it to the last moment. But they waited a little too long and ran out of time.
No Chrono Break pop there by Cursed Rise. They thought they'd be okay, but the flash in to hit the Vital and then the lunge through from Philos Kokla was enough in the end. But hold on, bot side.
Oh man, Sangisha getting a kill. Silver Potato is gonna fall next. You know it's inevitable. Oh, never mind. Wow, I actually thought there was gonna be a kill. The flash gets burnt. The arrow. Oh, felt the breeze on that one. Silver Potato
just a bit short.
manages to find a way out, but you know, again, things not going well for the bottom lane of CSU. It was looking okay early, but it just feels like something's not right down there. And now the turret may go down, but Donut is gonna fall next.
Yeah, nothing you can do there. Absolute lockdown.
Donuts are for eating, and Freshy was ready.
Absolutely. Cowrie charged right towards a nice box of donuts, and him and Freshy very much enjoyed.
Surprise! Zac waiting for Cowrie to show up, but Cowrie comes in from behind, and now we could have an interesting 2v1. Cowrie taking this fight will be able to take out the Zac. No blobs available. Looking to get remounted. Is remounted and looking to eat this Fiora alive in the 2v1. The grand challenge goes down, and the Fiora comes out on top from 1-4 to 4-4.
Hey, I think there's a problem. This Fiora was really behind at the very beginning of the game. Now suddenly she's winning fights she shouldn't and being a menace in the side lane. I don't think she's balanced. Just maybe.
Oh, she's dead.
Never mind.
Oh, could lay a trap here. No, never mind. Sangisha have a way out. I thought that for a second they were trying to make a play. Decided to get out of there. Something that we missed while Zac was up in the top lane, the Rift Herald was picked up by that Zac, so gonna try to use that. Maybe get some gold on another one of these members. But Bickle, this game has really changed for the side of High on Meeps, despite the fact they're still down about 3,000.
Absolutely has very much swung in a direction that's a little bit unexpected, as Philos Kokla has become really a strong menace in that side lane. Has picked up the Divine Sunder, working towards a Ravenous Hydra, and just so difficult to match now with those Vitals alongside that Grand Challenge and getting those extra % max health damage going. And it's such a strong side lane focus. Cowrie is still able to match right now, it looks, but if Doorguard shows up like they did in the past, it may be a problem, especially now that there's Radiant Virtues online. Anytime the Let's Bounce is popped, it becomes so much harder to kill anybody through all that extra healing.
Yeah, and let's not forget that was Cowrie sneaking up on Doorguard. If the roles were reversed, I think that would have been a simple 1 for nothing.
Absolutely. It was just a little bit on the tension. Hold on, mid.
The element of surprise Cowrie has, and Cowrie will take down Donut between 2 turrets. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, Cowrie has to flash. Got dismounted, taking a lot of turret shots. They're trying to kite out Doorguard here. Could not get remounted, but Varus gets blown up on the other side by multiple members of CSU. It's a 2-for-1, all said and done. CSU advantaged.
Absolutely, and right now it feels like Cowrie and Cursed Rise are all the ones in control of this for CSU. The top jungle, very dominant right now. 6 kills for Cowrie, 5 for Cursed Rise. They're going to be picking themselves up the first Hex Dragon of the game, getting themselves to 2, working towards that late soul, as you mentioned. Baron, next thing up on the map in 30 seconds. Look for both teams to try and get a bit of vision control around in this area. Cursed Rise does have that ultimate still available, so look for him to maybe go a bit deep, looking to get some deep vision, as he does have that get-out-of-jail-free card if need be.
Yeah, also has the stopwatch in the inventory as well. So hopefully they Cursed Rise fixed their R button in between the last couple of fights, because, you know, we missed that last one, and that one felt pretty bad. We see the Rift Herald getting dropped up in the top lane. It did take out a turret, so a little bit more gold going over to High on Meeps, but again, they're still down about 3,000 despite their best efforts. It's not a wallet diff quite yet, but it is going to be a Zac diff as Doorguard comes flying in off the top rope. Now in hot pursuit of Silver Potato, the smite goes down. You know, Doorguard could go for it if they want, but afraid of what lies in the fog of war. They'll back off.
Absolutely no vision in that area means they're not feeling comfortable with Chase. They have no vision on anybody on this map, but no vision, maybe their downfalls. Here comes Kled.
The only thing that they can see is Kled, as Kled in the middle of 3 members, and the rest of them are showing up. Cursed Rise getting into the thick of things. Silver Potato picks up 1. Cowrie still alive. Dorgard getting slowed, has to flash away. Still going for it is this Echo, but he got CC'd and wasn't able to pop anything on the other side of the fight. Freshie in the one-on-one with Donut, and the true damage is there. Another kill going over to the side of CSU, and they will take out the mid-inner turret, and they are starting to crack this game open just a little bit more.
Absolutely. Cursed Rise again, CC chained or not respecting enough the damage coming through, is not able to get that chrono break out and rewind themselves back to a safe position. Dorgard luckily has that blob passive up, meaning he does not necessarily fall. He is still there in any impending fight. However, something to note as objectives are going to be coming up in a bit is Dorgard still has 5 stacks of this Moss Stomper seedling still to go, so only at that 900 smite, whereas Cursed Rise has been on the primal smite for a while at the full 1200 damage.
And they've been destroying the jungle of Dorgard here. And Dorgard getting engaged on again here, but Kled's going to follow them over the wall. And you know Kled's got enough damage. Dorgard is having trouble getting away. This could be a trap. This Provolution is low. Dorgard is going down. The ultimate from the Janna going to help out, but Cowrie wasn't in it, and they're going to fall. But on the other side of the fight, it's Silver Potato. But we also see Fiora eating this Janna alive. All said and done, it's a 2 for 2.
Absolutely 2 for 2, and in all honesty, if you're the side of high on Meeps, you're a bit okay with that. You're down in gold, but you get a nice kill onto Cowrie and send that over to your team. Right now, Donut and Senagika, however you pronounce that name, I'm terrible at names, are scaling up. But mid lane,
there's the engage onto Donut. It's a knock-up into a bubble. That was a really strange interaction. Cursed Rise has shown that they are able to use their ultimate. It is perfectly functional.
Okay, we got to confirm. We got a confirmation his R button works.
Yep. I was gonna say, the PXE, while it is a free league from what I know, it does have a cash reward, so maybe best to invest it into a new keyboard for Cursed Rise.
Absolutely, and something to note, Silver Potato making good use of those 13.1B changes, grabbing that IE as a second item means they're going to be absolutely pumping out these damages if she ever pops off the crit rocket. And Sagenica rolling with that AP Varus even more. Picks up the Rift Maker. So any high health frontliner that they lock down with those chains of corruption, she's going to be able to melt through with a piercing arrow. But in all honesty, the only one you're going to be looking at particularly is Freshie who picked up that Heartsteel.
Yep, and it's about time to start the stacking game. It's 23 minutes into the game, so you're a little behind on the stacks, but let me tell you something. Whenever you get to stack up something like a Heartsteel, oh, it feels great. It's so satisfying.
See the that sound crunch alone.
Yep, you see the crunch, the health bar evaporates of the squishy target, and everything's all good. And it looks like they're going in for Cowrie here, but a huge knock up there from the Janna to disengage the fight. Exactly what they did the pick for. And now here comes Cowrie trying to engage this fight. The Nami tidal wave is going to hit only the one member. Cowrie still alive. As you mentioned, Cursed Rise off to the side trying to split off the Ziggs, and they do. Silver Potato picks up 1. Silver Potato picks up 2. Silver Potato picks up 3, and they get another kill on the other side for Cursed Rise. It's a 4 for nothing for the side of CSU, as they are really trying to put the stranglehold on this game.
Domination in that fight. They had great setup around that dragon, had the side of High on Meeps locked into a very tight corridor, and Cowrie pulls the trigger, charges in, and has the follow-up with his team coming in. We saw Cursed Rise dive into that backline, completely zoning out Donut and Saginka in that fight, meaning that the main damage threats just weren't there. That allowed the side of CSU to just rip through the entire team fight, with Cursed Rise and Silver Potato just dishing out the damage, putting themselves under the sole point for this Hextech Dragon, but taking definite control over this game right now.
I might eat my words. I thought we weren't going to see a soul, but I also didn't expect the 2 Hextech Drakes that we've seen on the map go over to CSU at that time, but now they are so fully in control of this game, up 7k. Bot lane inhibitor is exposed. which means it could be a good time to send Cowrie down there and stretch the map and potentially look for a Baron. You can see they're all up there trying to clear vision.
Absolutely, trying to clear vision right now, getting themselves up for a nice Baron angle. They know that nobody can really contest, but on a Janna.
I think Janna is going to be a-okay here. The disengage is just far too strong, and the Baron is hitting Cursed Rise. They're kind of waffling on whether or not they want to do it, but they are finally pulling the trigger here, Bickle. This Baron is starting to get melted down below 6,000, and you know they might have an idea, but that thing got eviscerated.
Absolutely. They said, you know what, if you're going to be hitting us anyways, we may as well take you. Complete vision control around the area. Had vision behind pit. No way Duergar could get anywhere near that without them being seen. And that means that even if they went for it, Miss Provision Volition could have a great disengage off that tornado alone. Something else to note, Narshil picking up the Magi's.
That's kind of wild.
I understand that if you're going for more a snowballing style, like you got a lot of stacks on your Dark Seal, you want to snowball the game, but not when you're behind. It's an interesting choice all around, though. It is a cheap mythic. I mean, cheap legendary, so I can understand that, but not necessarily the choice most would go for. Right now, this game is solely in control of CSU. Cursed Rise and Cowrie in great positioning, running a bit of a 1-2-1 right now with the fact Echo still rotating through. We saw Cursed Rise shove in and come with the bot side. Cowrie shoving the bot lane. We saw Freshy shoving the top side. Now they're rotating down towards that mid lane, trying to get some good shove in, maybe looking to crack the base with this Baron play.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they aren't just letting Silver Potato go after it, but Cowrie looking to find a kill onto the Ziggs. The knockup is there, but the Ziggs is gone. Now, 3 members on top of Cowrie who gets dismounted, trying desperately to run away and get remounted, but they aren't able to. Mid lane inhibitor turret has fallen, and Silver Potato's attack speed has gone through the roof. Mid lane inhibitor is down. You can see some pings going onto this inhibitor.
Meanwhile, you may want to come back, buddy.
Yeah, Thelos is just split pushing. It doesn't have a teleport available. And Cursed Rise blows up the Varus. Down goes Duergar into blob form. And I think, Bickle, that should do it. The heals are going to come through. Narshil stuck in the base. We finally see the recall coming out for the Fiora, but I think it's a little bit too late. The second Nexus turret is going down, and this game is all CSU.
Absolute CSU domination. In particular, great play out of Cowrie to start the snowball. Then Cursed Rise came in to take them through the mid game. And in the end, Silver Potato, the one to take them over the edge with that late game scaling jinx, hit a big 3-item spike, had the Phantom Dancer online. But really, to me, the standout here is just Cowrie. As they took that lead topside with no jungle intervention, they drew resources up topside to try and shut them down. And even with them trying to shut her down, she kept pushing hard and allowed the rest of her map to shove and expand their lead.
Yeah, and Cowrie's scoreline doesn't exactly look as pretty as it did at the beginning of the game. You're absolutely right. The pressure that they put on, forcing multiple members to answer them in those fights, especially in that last fight. You mentioned it was just but a clever ruse, as Silver Potato was allowed to do whatever they wanted because Cowrie was the big facilitator to allow it.
Absolutely. Cowrie, great play all around there. Cursed Rise and Silver Potato obviously getting their shout-outs as well. Really just strong play all around from the side of CSU. It seems like whatever changes they made a little bit to their roster with bringing in Cursed Rise and Freshy, be it out of necessity or out of desire for change, looking positive in the first game we've seen.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they can take that momentum into Game 2, as we're going to take a very short break, and when we return, we'll give you the draft for Game 2 between CSU and High on Meeps. Welcome back in to the draft, or we should be getting there very shortly, between CSU and High on Meeps. Yanni and Bickle still on the cast, as we are already into the draft, and see if these bands are very similar to the last game. Bickle, what would you change between last game and this game?
If you are the side of CSU, the only thing you maybe look at and say, this was annoying at times, is possibly the Ziggs or the Zac. But if you're High on Meeps, you got to look at a decent bit there. The Fiora counterpick into the Kled did not work out for them. And really, if they're scared, if that's their answer to the Kled and it doesn't work, they may just need to ban it out come later. And like late game scaling, Jinx could possibly be a problem, which is why we see it taken off the board.
Yeah, a couple of adaptations here. Although that one is CSU's to ban, so I don't think they are quite willing to play against it. They went to give themselves the fourth ban, and it worked out. You know, sometimes players will be like, oh, you know, we'll ban 3 things and we'll pick one of whatever they play, right? Give ourselves a fourth ban. Sometimes I find it doesn't work, but it did this time around. But a lot of these ones are very similar outside of that. Vex still off the board. This time, Kled being taken away by High on Meeps.
Understandable. After what Cowrie did that game, they do not want to see the Kled again. Absolute domination in the top lane against Philos Kokla. We'll have to see what necessarily the pivot becomes for Cowrie, as that was obviously their first choice. We'll have to see what comes next.
You know, I'm taking a second. I gotta Google what that name means. I've been told I shouldn't.
Which just makes me want to know even more.
Oh. Don't Google it.
Now I have to.
No, don't do it. First pick, Aurelia coming in there for High on Meeps. Again, it's like having a fourth ban.
Absolutely.
Are you Googling? Yep.
I see.
I could tell you were Googling it because you didn't expand upon my point. And,
I wish I had. But yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. The Aurelia
Listen, Snow said not to Google it, and I did it anyway.
That just means we had to.
And then I did it anyway, and then I told you not to do it, and then you did it anyway. The Fiora block-in coming in here. So it looks like Cowrie is throwing down the gauntlet, saying, you know what? You played Fiora terribly. I'll show you how to play Fiora.
Absolutely. Fiora, like we mentioned, when played well, can be such a dominant menace in the side lane. Even saw a bit of that as the game started to go on for Philos Cloaca. Just able to scale a little bit. But for CSU, Cowrie likely looking to get a bit more early pressure off those trades. They were already so successful off that trading with the Kled. They're going to be looking to do the same thing with the Fiora.
We see Anami getting picked up once again for the side of CSU, but an instant lock-in on the other side for High on Meeps. I feel like they know something's up here, and they will lock in the Leona as well. This Nami could be sushi.
Absolutely. High on Meeps saying, you know what? Playing laid back a little bit with this Varus Nami did not work out for us. We're going aggro. We go in. They pick up the Tristana Leona. Of course, Tristana's still flexible, but the Leona in particular says, we're going in bot lane, and we're going in hard. They are looking for kills early as level 2 off this early kill pressure. That's where they're going to be looking to snowball an advantage.
Bro, I just noticed, does Tristana only have 4 fingers?
Wow. Yeah, she does.
Wait, hold on. I've just been told that all Yordles have 4 fingers?
Mind blown.
Is this true? Bickle, what do you know about Yordle anatomy?
That's a good question. A little bit more now that I looked up what his name means, but
I said Yordle anatomy, not regular anatomy.
Close enough, but yeah.
Well,
rounding things up for CSU.
Xayah is going to be the lock-in for the side of CSU here. That's still a champion that gets abused pretty early by Tristana and Leona, so I have some concerns here.
Absolutely, but it feels like Silver Potato just picking it up, especially for the level 6, the Featherstorm, just to be able to disengage and dodge out on any incoming CC. It's a good get-out-of-jail-free card. Usually you see get-out-of-jail-free cards from like the Ezreal, but Xayah with that level 6 brings a lot of safety as well.
Second half of bench, Trundle and Alawi off the table. CSU doesn't want to play against those. Meanwhile, we see Kane getting picked away again, and this time Set is going to be taken away. Interesting to note, the Echo is still available.
Absolutely. Echo, which saw so much success last time for Cursed Rise, still on the board. They do need a solid AP threat, so it's interesting if they head that way, but it's going a different direction.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm cool with that. Zach, we saw some great effectiveness in the last game despite the loss. So this time CSU has decided, you know what? We like it, we'll take it. They're ripping off of High on Meeps comp.
Absolutely. So you know what?
The disrespect.
Zach Fiora, great top jungle. You guys didn't play it well. We'll show you how to play it. Zach, of course, such strong ganking potential. Flexibility not there as much now that the Fiora and Nami are already locked in. Of course, could see it mid lane. I would doubt it, though.
We're going to see a Jarvan lock-in here, and it looks like Annie as well. So a great ganking jungler, combine it with a mid laner that provides a fair amount of damage and CC. This is a great composition here for High on Meeps.
CSU's just ripping the whole comp!
Yeah, they really are. They really are. But the question is, even if they lock in the Ziggs, is it good enough to beat the High on Meeps composition? I am in love with this one. I think this is great.
Absolutely. They have such strong engage. Leona Jarvan in particular, such strong ganks as early as level 2 with the flag drag combo. Annie has such great gank setup off her Pyromania passive to get that extra CC out there. Aurelia, a really strong duelist. That's not a Ziggs.
A Renekton pickup here. Now I have so many questions because regardless of whether or not it's Renekton or Fiora, one of them is probably going to struggle into Annie, provided it's played properly on the side of Donut.
Absolutely. We saw Freshy pull out a mid lane melee last time and find a bit of success with that set. They're likely looking for that same thing. I personally would expect it to be this Renekton. We see that a lot more prevalent with the mids. Good gap close, good damage, especially if you head down a Prowler's Claw route. Easy to get onto somebody and stun with the Ruthless Predator. That also has some good gank setup for what Zach is looking for. It'll be interesting to see what exactly CSU, and in particular, Zach, decide to look for and how Cursed Rise is going to be able to capitalize. They've found such good success with the Echo last time. Now they have a much stronger early ganking jungler.
Yeah, and it's really going to be important this game because both of these junglers have a lot of early gank potential, and this High on Meeps composition is far more aggressive than the one they ran in the last game. So, Cursed Rise is going to need to be on their A game, as you mentioned. Now, I've already said how much I like the High on Meeps composition. Are you as in love with it as I am?
I think it is exactly what High on Meeps needs given the situation. It's got easier execution with good CC lockdown, good team fighting, good gank setup. It's what you're looking for there. Tristana Leona brings you back to the basics of bot lane of get level 2, go in, try to kill. That is about as simple as you can get with it, and it's effective, which is important. Same thing with Jarvan. Flag drag lockdown. Annie, point and click stun. That's exactly what you're going for in this. Aurelia also brings good side lane threat for them. Great sustain off her blade surges. And in all honesty, I'm really looking for this Jarvan Leona Tristana to try and punish Silver Potato early before they can get to that Featherstorm level 6.
Yeah, I want to see a level 2 gank. You know, I casted some North American Challenger League qualifiers this weekend. I saw a Jarvan go buff to bot lane and get first blood. That's really been the big thing about this season, is there's been a large focus on bot lane and a bit of a metagaming on top, but the focus on bot lane still remains. So it really depends on who wins the 3v3 first, or who is the one to pull the trigger first on the 3v2.
Absolutely, and with this 3v3 that you mentioned, I just think early on, the J4 Tristana Leona is just heavily favored. Xayah really scales well, but Tristana's going to be there early. J4 has easier to execute lockdown and can get there faster in a sense. So, and Leona brings point-and-click CC, which is something you always love to have in a bot side. So I think that 3v3 that you mentioned really favors what High on Meeps is going.
Yeah, I think the only way CSU is able to counteract it is by a Zac counter gank, where they wait for all of the CC to get used, fly in, disrupt, and then get out. So, you know, we could see something like that, or it could be how I expect it to be, and we see absolutely nothing, and these guys just try to full clear.
That is quite possible as well. Something else to look out. We saw Cowrie get such a strong advantage on the Kled last game. It'll be interesting to see if they're able to try and push that advantage with Fiora as well, who makes such good use of those vitals early, though Philos Cloaca on this Aurelia is no slouch early.
Yeah, that is one of those champions that is full build once they get their Vamp Scepter, but you mentioned Philos Kokla may be shaking in their boots a little bit because Cowrie is certainly a force in this league. Interested to see what summoners they take up in the top lane, but it's going to be a little bit before we find out as we are in the spectator delay. Do not despair. When we return, we'll be on the Rift for what could be the final game of the night as CSU looks to take a 2-0 series and High on Meeps looks to even it up ahead to Game 3. Alrighty, everybody, we are on the Rift here for Game 2 between High on Meeps and CSU. Yanni and Bickle giving you all of the great action as we are getting ready here. You know, the first game didn't exactly go the way that High on Meeps thought, especially given the fact they were down early, came back in, and then it felt like the kills were even, but the gold was not.
Absolutely. So it looks like High on Meep's going to be looking to try and keep this game a lot closer than it was, and a lot of that's going to come down to Philos up top side if they can stop the snowball that Cowrie was able to manage last time. Something to note, quad ignites. Every solo laner going for it. There's no TPs this side. Who needs macro when you can murder each other? And something else to note, supports. We got Nami taking the ignite, but Narshil on this Leona going for the exhaust.
Yeah, you know, I think I personally think the line of thinking is that, okay, cool. We have plenty of ignites. We need somebody to exhaust the Fiora, right?
Absolutely. Just able to lock down and really reduce the damage in a sense. Exhaust such a strong summoner spell at the moment, relying on Narshil to pull that trigger whenever the engage begins, and feeling, like you mentioned, we have enough ignites through the Aurelia and the Annie, whereas the side of CSU is running that triple ignite.
Interesting to note, these junglers starting on opposite sides of the map. Jarvan is in the area. Oh yeah, they were listening. Here comes that level 2 gank. Narshil already with the engagement. Silver Potato gets knocked up. They're going to have to hold their flash. But the counter flash for Sangisha. One more auto attack. No, you need one more auto attack on top of it. Heal and flash burn for both of these AD carries. But a solid gank coming in from Dorgard.
Absolutely. The heal and the pot, just enough. Hold on, bot side.
They have no follow-up here. Miss Provolution dropping the ignite on Sangisha, which forces the exhaust out from Narshil.
We are down 7 of 8 summoners bot lane already.
Ah, man, I love League of Legends. And really, you know, that's a strategy that everybody's been going for. And you see Cowrie with a fantastic parry. They're going to get a lot of damage off. Donut has to flash away because of the Cursed Rise flash. Flash gank. So already these junglers have gotten really aggressive on multiple lanes.
Absolutely, but topside.
Oh, Cowrie looking to make this play. They got stunned because they're a level behind. The ignite gets put down, and Aurelia, the one to pick up first blood.
Absolutely, we saw Philos look for it earlier and drop the blade, the stun off E, but it was parried by Cowrie, but the cooldown came up and parry was not available, meaning that the stun came out and Aurelia was able to get that CC chain, get the double dash off, and get first blood, which is a complete turnaround from last game, where Cowrie was able to take complete dominating advantage over that.
And with no teleport available, that is so rough. Aurelia has opened up a pretty large CS lead, although Cowrie is taking a wave. So that, you know, that's good at least. We do see Jarvan on the way to mid lane as Freshy. They have sliced, they have already diced. They will get knocked up, but nothing more. Donut doesn't quite have the mana nor the damage.
Absolutely. Donut really going to be looking to put on pressure a little bit early here. Of course, is mana gated as opposed to Freshy, who just has to rely on the cooldowns and the Fury. But having that range and a guaranteed CC whenever they have their passive built up is going to be very reliable, especially if Dorgard is ever coming in for a gank. Cowrie? Cowrie?
No, that's actually... I think that's actually what... Listen, okay. I don't know that. I don't know enough about League of Legends in terms of wave states and everything like that to understand if that was good or bad. That's your job, not mine. Tell me about the wave state.
Let's take a look up topside. They were able to crawl. They weren't able to crash it, actually. The cannon wave is coming in, so Aurelia has this nice... It looks like it is going to be pushing back towards Fiora a little bit. Actually, no. Actually, this wave... That was not a good idea based on this wave.
Oh, no!
Fiora is in deep trouble here. They're going to need Cursed Rise to come their way.
No. This wave is now pushing as Aurelia elected to push it. That could have been really scary. I have many questions. Perhaps
you and
Cowrie,
me both.
I don't know. I think Cowrie's a pretty good player. And again,
I trust whatever they
I'm
had
not
in mind.
smart enough to understand wave states, especially in top lane. I don't play that lane at all. I avoid that lane like the plague.
Yep, I'm a support main. I don't worry about hitting minions. They do their own thing.
You should understand wave states then.
I understand wave states, just not top lane.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're a support player. You gotta understand this stuff.
Hey, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Oh, hold on. Looks like we have company bots set again.
Once again, a good sidestep there, and now they're going to go for the full whole hog turret dive. Silver Potato still alive. Dorgard is going to dive for it, and Silver Potato reigns supreme. Freshy also picking up a kill in the mid lane. Everything turning up CSU.
Absolutely. CSU loves what's happening there. We see the three-man bot side try and dive onto Silver Potato under tower, but they go too deep. Dorgard tanking tower and just falls there. Meanwhile, mid lane, Cursed Rise. Actually,
yeah, Cowrie dead.
All right then.
Yeah, this is a two-level lead.
This is a complete turnaround of last game topside.
Yeah, and really, the problem is that the death that Cowrie had meant that it lost out on at least a little bit of EXP, and Aurelia was able to pick up so much more and have a 2-level lead at that time.
You know what the issue is? She tried to fight an Aurelia that's on full build.
Yo, honestly true. We did talk about that. Vamp Scepter equals full build.
Absolutely. That's all Aurelia needs. Just able to heal up through those minions so well alongside her passive. And right now we see Freshy off that kill, goes back, picks up the serrated Dirk. So we're going to be even stronger if he can ever get onto Donut and get that Ruthless Predator stun. The lethality going to bring so much to the table, especially as they build towards that Prowler's Claw.
Hey, listen, they were able to get on top of Donut before. Why not now? Things not exactly going the way High on Meeps anticipated, despite the fact that this Aurelia has a huge lead. Cowrie once again.
Cowrie, stop tanking tower!
Well, listen, that time Cowrie got a plate.
Okay, I'll give you that. That one was worth it. Something else to note right now, Cloud Dragon is first up on the map. Neither side is still looking at it at the moment.
Cowrie, no.
No, not Cowrie, not again!
No. Dorgard has shown up to the party, and this will be another kill for Aurelia. It's just a matter of getting there. Dorgard in hot pursuit. Cursed Rise trying to come through and maybe help out. No, it's just a boot stiff, and now Cursed Rise is in the middle of two members when they really don't want to be. They're going to have to burn their flash to maybe get out of here. They are in trouble. Cursed Rise. All right, they finally flashed over. Provolution dropping the ultimate. Narshil forcing a flash out there. That's what happens when you engage when you're at level 5 and your opponents are level 6, or at least the supporters.
I'm curious as to how the only person hitting level 6 in that bot lane is the Nami, but I'm not going to question it. So in the end, we saw Narshil try and go for that engage on the Miss Provolution, and it just doesn't work out. As you mentioned, that tidal wave available for the disengage, and really what was supposed to be an aggressive lane!
Oh, Silver Potato buffed up, and there is the kill. Silver Potato flashing for it and gets it 2-0 for the Xayah. The bot lane is looking very good here for the side of CSU.
Absolutely, and that's not what High on Meeps wanted to see. They picked this Tristana Leona to be aggressive early, to look for these early kills. And what happens? Silver Potato comes out 9 minutes in with 2 kills and 150 gold bounty. That is not what you want when you're playing this aggressive lane.
Yeah, that is rough. That is very, very rough, especially because you know the bot lane of CSU hasn't been that great throughout the last game, and even last series and last game. But this time around, things are looking pretty good for them, and Freshy has carved out a nice lead for themselves in the mid lane, 1 plate up, looking potentially for that second plate on top of it.
Absolutely, really has that damage threat now that they hit the level 6. Alongside Ignite, and anytime they have that Fury empowerment of the Ruthless Predator, can just chunk out Donut so much and threaten a kill. Especially if Cursed Rise is ever in the area. And in all honesty, there's not too much vision around that can let Donut know where Cursed Rise is. So they're going to have to be careful of the Zac every time.
Yeah, they need to ward creatively. You know, that's the one thing that a lot of players don't do, is being smart with their wards because of the angles that Zac can attack from. So we're going to need to see a bit of a better job there for High on Meeps. We see some vision getting cleared out. It looks like we see a ping down on to the Rift Herald up top, and it will be started up by Aurelia and Jarvan. But this allows Cowrie time to get back in the swing of things when it comes to having some experience. They're about to be level 8 very soon. It'll be an even level lead at this point.
It will be an even level lead after what was a really strong start For Philos, Cowrie's coming back a little bit, farming up well. Yes, they're down in CS, but that's expected when you have 4 deaths.
Rift Herald went to Jarvan, and now you can see Jarvan setting up, but on the bottom side, responding in kind to CSU. They're going to try to take that dragon. Cowrie going to try to find a way out, and Dorgard not engaging there, just electing to help clear the wave and maybe get this Rift Herald put down.
Yep, shoving in, trying to help Philos crash this wave, possibly looking, like you mentioned, for that Herald drop, trying to snowball Philos even more. Obviously the strongest member on their team right now, and really looking to pressure that. Meanwhile, we saw bot side, there was a trade.
Oh, there's a full engagement here. Huge double ultimates on the side of the bot lane for CSU. Silver Potato, though, is low, had to burn the heal. Narshil doing a good job of being judicious with their engagements, looking to find Silver Potato. Could have went on to Nami, but they will instead back off both AD carries. Definitely worse for wear.
Absolutely great usage of the ultimate there by Silver Potato, able to dodge out on a little bit of the CC and damage, which did keep them alive when paired with the heal and the Nami healing all around. The top side.
Yeah, Aurelia. Oh, good dash there from Cowrie. Means that Aurelia ultimate goes wide. They're still trying to chase down onto the Fiora, but Cowrie able to survive. Still only a Vamp Scepter and a Longsword. I'd imagine as the game goes on, they may have a little bit more fighting power.
Absolutely. So with that Vamp Scepter alongside the Longsword, a lot of potential options. My guess is we may be seeing... Actually, what would we be seeing? My guess is that's going to be a Ravenous Hydra in the end. We'll have to wait and see. Philos obviously heading towards that Blade of the Rune King. But something to know, when that Herald was taken topside, it was smartly traded for this Cloud Dragon down bot side. So objective for objective trade, using the strength of Silver Potato and Miss Provolition right now to shove in and get that early dragon, and taking good control of this lane right now. Zach in the area if they want to look for a gank.
Yeah, and the thing about that Rift Herald is it only got 1 plate. Like, it got 1.5 plates because Rift Herald is not as strong, doesn't deal nearly as much damage on the charge as it once did. But Aurelia, once again, lying in wait, and this time we'll see a full engagement as the Grand Challenge has been put down. Looking to proc that last one. The flash from Cowrie. Can they get to the other side? Good defensive flash from Aurelia, but now a full fight coming in. There's Provolution. A huge knockup onto 2 members. Silver Potato picks up 1. Silver Potato is looking to pick up Narshil as well. 2 more autos should probably do it. Maybe 1. There's the knockup. It goes over to Cursed Rise. And now Dorgard will... No, he will not be able to flag and drag out as Zach says, wait just a minute. No further kills. A 2-for-1 overall. And this is big because Silver Potato can carve out a nice lead.
Absolutely. Silver Potato continuing to press their advantage there. Does end up living while both the bot laner and the support of High on Meeps fall in the end. They're looking for Dorgard too.
Oh, Silver Potato willing to take turrets for that. We can see Cowrie getting really aggressive under that turret. And look, the CS is sort of even now.
Absolutely, yeah. Pressing that advantage really well. And able to even themselves up topside. It seemed like Dorgard had a really good read on what Cursed Rise was going for, as they were able to match that gank bot side into a 3v3. Unfortunately for them, it did not go their way, as a great tidal wave from Miss Provolition was able to basically lock down off the major engage of High on Meeps, enough for Silver Potato to just pump out the damage and rip through Tristana and Leona.
Yeah, Tristana tried to jump into that fight and got fly swatted.
Absolutely what they're looking to do there. And something to note, Mythic's starting to call online. Gale Force Prowler's Claw now online for CSU. We see the Ludens and Kraken now available for High on Meeps. And this is when things start to get fun.
Freshy going to flash away from that one. Perhaps a little fearful of what Donut can throw at them in the mid lane. They still don't have very much MR outside of what they brought with them. In fact, they have none. But it's nice to see Freshy. A solid lane has a small CS lead in a lane where they're going against a ranged mage that has a long auto attack range. I'm very impressed.
Definitely, but topside.
Oh, I'm going to be impressed if Aurelia can come away with a 2v1 here. They're going to find one of them, but there's no mana left for this Aurelia. It's just a matter of if Zach has the damage. Freshy looking for a potential dive here. Gets stunned, takes a lot of damage. Here comes Timbers. Down goes Freshy. Dorgard flagging and dragging, and fights everywhere. There's a tidal wave going down. Now this Leona is in a lot of trouble. Exhaust goes down, ultimate goes wide. Silver Potato drops their ultimate as they're trying to disengage. Their E is not back up yet. What a flash! And they're able to get the Leona kill, but Sanguishia responds in kind.
Blood everywhere across the map, kills in every lane. They try to go on to Philos with a 2v1, but they turn it around and pick up the kill until Duergard shows up topside to try and take out the Zac, and that does not go his way in the end. He ends up falling. We saw Freshie go for the dive onto Donut with the Prowler's Claw, but a good stun followed up by the Flash Tibbers is able to take him down. And then the bot side, as you mentioned, the 2v2 going, a great Featherstorm to dodge out on that Solar Flare. Unfortunately, is not able to dodge the explosive charge damage, meaning that they are still chunked out. Forced to flash away off the Blade Caller, does get the kill onto Leona, but that does mean that Saginka on this Tristana is able to pick up kills of their own.
We saw Ping go onto the Dragon here for Cursed Rise as they're looking to get the first 2 Drakes of the game, but Duergard is in the river first and is now looking to find a play onto this Renekton. He slices, still has dice available, looking to maybe go back in. Look at the damage dealt to Duergard, taken down to about half. That's really scary as Cursed Rise is ready, and Duergard is going to get knocked up. Freshie gets over the wall with the Prowler's Claw, and they're able to pick up a kill. It goes over to Cursed Rise, and that Dragon is all CSU.
Absolutely, and that's what Prowler's Claw will do to you when you have no armor. Sitting on the standard boots and building towards a Gore Drinker plus a Tiamat, now has that Gore Drinker completed, no armor available for Duergard, meaning he just gets shredded by Freshie and this Renekton.
First turret going over to Aurelia, not a message that you want to see if you do not have the Aurelia on your team. Took 17 minutes for a turret to go down. I was actually pretty surprised by that. We see a lot of low turrets, but the first one to fall, we see that Aurelia is behind this Fiora right now, which could get very scary in a couple of moments.
Absolutely. Like you mentioned, no tower there, meaning Philos does have this flank available. Dashing into the minions, though it looks like they're going to get out just fine.
Alright, yeah, couldn't quite land the Twin Blades there. Kaori just able to walk it out. Again, CS down 20 now, 0-5, but, you know, that's okay. That just means the rest of your map is, is doing really, really well. And they are. They have 8 kills compared to, the 4 on the other side. So if you just take away the top laners, I mean, you're in great shape. You're in the driver's seat, right?
Yeah, just ignore the Federelia that's happening.
Yeah.
That's 3-on-1 with a completed Blade of the Rune King. That's not going to come back to bite you whatsoever. Now, Herald is available. Will be despawning in a minute and a half as Baron comes online. Next Dragon, not up for 3 minutes, but
Silver Potato dropping the ultimate is able to get out, but not out of the clutches of Duergard. Duergard almost falls. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, they gang up on this Annie, so it's a good counter gank in the mid lane to make it a 1-for-1 overall. Duergard so low, though. Silver Potato was so close to getting a kill.
Really was. Narshal did a great job there, waiting out the Featherstorm to drop that Solar Flare to try and get the lockdown. Was just a bit shy of getting the stun, so got the slow instead. But that did mean that Duergard could get in there, get the lockdown with the Cataclysm, and set up an easy kill for Saginka, meaning that Silver Potato did fall, and they all managed to escape with their lives. But mid lane, as you mentioned, Cursed Rise came in, and with Freshie in that Prowler's Claw, easy kill onto Donut.
And now this game has gotten quite interesting because a turret was taken in the mid lane, not in the bot lane. So it's a 500 goldie for CSU, despite the trials and tribulations they've been put through early.
Yeah, like you mentioned, that's taken as well. The top lane tier 1 also falls, so now a tower advantage going the way of CSU. They are up 2 dragons to none right now. Baron is about to spawn. Don't expect that to be on the table anytime soon unless there's a massive team fight. Due to the fact that there's no real massive lead, look for our next big contestation to be around this Drake that's in 2 minutes. But right now, we see Botland coming in, taking another tower.
All right, it's not around that turret, but another one in the pocket of CSU. They're looking pretty good all around the map. You can see Zac is ready to go in onto the Aurelia. The Aurelia lands the stun, and the rest of the squad has shown up. It's a matter of can they kill the Aurelia before everybody else goes down. Ultimate drop by that Annie does so much. It ends up being a 1-for-1 so far. Cursed Rise is trapped and is stunned up and CC'd. They are going to fall. They don't have the passive available. It's a 2-for-1 in favor of High on Meeps. But Silver Potato, they walked where they shouldn't have. They find a way to get knocked up somehow. Dorgard goes down thanks to the W bounce. So baited and outsmarted here as the CSU support picks one up.
Silver Potato trying to Gale Force out of that flag drag, unfortunately wasn't able to in time, so got locked up, but caught him under tower, and the bounce from Miss Pro Volition takes down Dorgard, and what ends up being a 2-for-2, but Philos falls, and that's a big shutdown heading over to the side of CSU.
Cowrie just took an inner turret, by the way.
Yeah, Fiora doing Fiora things.
Yeah, but despite the fact they've been down so much in this game, the gold, they're only down 1,000 gold, which sounds like a lot, but given the fact that they're 0-5 and their opposing laner has 2 completed items, you'll take that.
Well,
they might
not
be
take that much longer.
Yeah, 0-6. Oh, Cowrie flashes? The kill goes over to Donut.
It's probably not who you want to give it to, but okay.
I see we're doing the boss strategy of playing top lane.
Absolutely. Push tower, get it, die, good death.
Oh, good death. Yep. Freshy. This might not be a good death. They haven't even popped their ultimate. Now they have Philos going to dive them under the turret. They will live because of the Immortal Shield Bow. Flash where they probably didn't need to, but they will take the 1v1 victory.
Yep, Shield Bow just playing it safe.
Miss Provolution is going down now. Things are going pretty poorly for CSU. That's 3 straight members getting caught right before an objective, and this dragon looks to be all for the Meeps.
Absolutely, and that stops the dragon stacking for the side of CSU. This would have been soul point for them if they could pick it up. Instead, this delays another 5 minutes until the next dragon is on the board, meaning that soul is even farther and both teams have time to scale up.
Yeah, and this is one of the dragon's souls that you would want because of the combat power it can bring. That said, Cowrie showing up, not getting anything for that, as it is going to be Zach picking that up. It is a kill in 4-1-5 with Jack Show. As you know, Jack Show is such a strong item.
Absolutely. Jack Show, extremely strong, was even stronger before its big nerfs came in a little while ago. Personally, I do prefer the Radiant Virtue Path on Zach, but Jack Show, you can't go wrong with. All the tank stats, great frontlining, which is exactly what they need from Zach right now. He is that big, beefy frontline for the team that's being enhanced by these bruisers such as Fiora and Renekton, and getting the heals out from the Nami.
Yep, and that mid lane turret going down. 23 minutes into the game, Freshy trying to move forward, make a play happen. They're still strong.
The flank?
Despite the last few fights not going their way, and you just mentioned it, Cowrie is on the flank. Cowrie could be in trouble. Freshy trying to get in the middle of things. Here comes a knock-up from the Nami. Look at this. This is a huge fight. But Donut is just free hitting completely untouched. And now they're going to move on. And they will be able to take out that Annie. What a surprise. It's a 3-for-1 for CSU. It feels like they've been out of it. But no, they are back in it.
Absolutely. Not just are they back in it. They have a 3K gold lead right now. Dorgard tried to get the lockdown with a Cataclysm, but in all honesty, it was kind of his own demise as he and Narsha were locked in with a Renekton who had built up Fury alongside a Zac who was just bouncing away, and they just ate all that damage. Yes, Donut was able to put out some good damage and trade back a kill, but in the end, he falls as well when Silver Potato is able to wrap around, and really what seemed like they were catching Fiora in their jungle ended up with them being caught in the end.
And now we see the pings on Baron. Cursed Rise in the bot lane right now. And they started backing. It looks like they're probably going to try to get out of harm's way at the very least, because they know something's not quite right. But you saw the pings. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to go for it, but it's on the mind right now. Gold lead sitting at about 2,500. It's nothing too crazy. I'm sorry, 3,500. Nothing too crazy, but things looking better and better for CSU. We could see items getting completed. This Renekton now on 2.5 items. Silver Potato is on 2 items. Zac has that Thornmail. It's going to be very difficult for anybody not named Donut to do damage.
Something to know right now, Philos is bot side with Ignite. They have no TP, so you can see the side of CSU threatening to start up this Baron.
Look at the damage
they
that
know
Cowrie
they have
does.
no way to respond here.
Donut had to flash. Dorgard could get caught on the flank here. Freshie
Prowlers
is going to Prowlers on top of him. Dorgard has to flash, but here comes Zach. Are they able to catch Dorgard? No, not quite. Cowrie goes over the wall. Really wants a piece of this team. Looking to get kill number 1 in the game. And there's multiple members onto this bot inhibitor turret. We see the Aurelia's on the other side of the map. Hasn't started backing. The turret's going to fall. The inhibitor is under siege now.
High on Meeps doesn't have their strongest champ.
Here they go. Here's the Nami tidal wave. Cursed Rise with a double knockup on the backside. And this fight is all CSU. Where is Aurelia? Sangisha will fall.
Is
the
that
inhibitor
game?
goes down. I think this is game. Aurelia isn't backing. The Nexus turret is falling. That's it. They've won. Despite their best efforts in the early game, they won.
Absolutely, and Philos just caught out bot side, no TP, not able to respond up top side when that heavy engage comes in. CSU pulls the trigger and goes in hard, and it works out for them in the end. Despite the 0-7 Fiora on their side, split pushing works. Freshie pumps out the damage. Cursed Rise has some great engage off to Zach, and Silver Potato rips through with the feathers.
I'm still kind of confused.
That ended out of nowhere.
It really did. I'm still so confused with the way that game ended. And this is not the same High on Meeps that we saw last time out against Spartan Shields. This was a team that, it just felt like they were not coordinated enough. They were able to scrap and fight, and keep things close, but their coordination is all off, and now they fall to 1-8 on the season. That is certainly going to hamper their playoff hopes.
Yeah, that's not a position you want to be in. And just building off of what you said, in both end game situations, Philos was on the other side of the map without teleport and no way to join their team at the final fight of the game. By the time they got back both times, the game was over. Every time CSU ended the game, it was because they had taken a numbers advantage fight. And they played around it really well. Like you mentioned, it just felt like CSU played as a team better than High on Meeps. Yeah, and with that, as you mentioned, CSU now 4-4, dead even in the score line, exactly how they want to be stopping their slump.
Yeah, they're back in it now. I mean, they didn't look too great yesterday. Outside of Cowrie, it felt like they played a lot like High on Meeps yesterday, but to able to come back and get a big victory, especially with the lineup changes, who knows if this is temporary, maybe it does need to be a permanent thing. And this was really the first game of the season that we saw Cowrie had a really bad game and the rest of the team was able to rally and pick up the slack.
Absolutely. The rest of this team really stepped up. Freshie in particular in this mid lane played a phenomenal ranked game, tops the damage charts all around on his team, and really set up well. Usually Cowrie, as you mentioned, is that dominant force in the mid lane, but Freshie was able to fill that void. And Cursed Rise fit this team so well, was all over the map ganking and really helping every lane get ahead.
Yeah, their Zach was pretty fantastic. And I really think that the game started off really good for CSU when they got ganked at level 1 and managed to survive it and trade summoners. Like, things looked really good for them then. And it just felt like the rest of their team wasn't able to make that noticeable impact. Their score lines look pretty good. Obviously, we've got the Aurelia, we can't say enough, but Donut dropped the Tibbers in the middle of the 4 or 5 members in that jungle fight, did a lot of damage, but it didn't feel like it. Like, look at the damage numbers. They have the most in the game, but it just was a fool's errand at that point.
It didn't feel like impactful damage. It felt like, okay, drop Tibbers in the middle of them. He's burning 4 people around him and getting you some good damage. But there wasn't any like, wow, this is important damage. Like, Freshie, his damage comes in from Prowler's Claw and taking 3/4 of your health away with a Ruthless Predator. That is impactful because that means either you're dead or you are out of this fight.
Yep, and with that win, that moves CSU back up just a little bit, able to move up. It looks like they are going to be in 5th place, just behind Clown Gaming Spartans. Whereas High on Meeps, they at least have a win, where CB Frost does not, but this was a series that if you're high on Meeps, you really wanted to win and I thought that they were going to come in and they were going to take the series. I thought that CSU's mental was probably going to be boomed, but in a series like this, you have to at least take one game.
Absolutely. And I thought they had great drafts in both situations. The single target lockdown, early engage in game 2, the double poke Ziggs Varus in game 1 with a side laning threat Fiora. I loved their drafts. They just didn't have the execution to pull it off.
I was really impressed with CSU's victory because of Cowrie, like we mentioned earlier, not having the greatest game up in the top lane. But I don't know. I think we're going to try to pull somebody for an interview here. So while we get that sorted out, we're going to take a very short break. And when we return, we'll hopefully have an interview for you from the victorious CSU. Welcome back, PXE League family. We are here with a couple of winners. The first dual interview we're actually doing for the side of CSU. We have Freshie and Cursed Rise. Congratulations on your victory today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so the subs coming in and saving the day after CSU took a hard loss on the chin yesterday. Tell me, was this due to, necessity, or was this hey, you know what, we need to change something up?
I think the coaches were talking about just making sure everyone gets the play time and
Good.
making sure to see everyone's play style and see how it goes with the team.
Listen, that's absolutely fantastic. I'm very happy to hear that. So, your selections here. This Freshie, I want to ask about the Renekton pick into this Annie here. So I find it fairly interesting to blind. I think you blinded the Renekton. Hold on, let me go. I can pull up the draft law and actually figure that out. No. So you picked the Renekton into the Annie. Tell me a little bit about that.
So we weren't really sure what to do because we needed some sort of front line and whatnot, and we had the Zach there as well, but we wanted a little bit more. And for me, my first game I played Set, and I was like, well, Set's not very good against other mages, and I like playing Renekton because the Prowler's Call really helps me out with getting closer with them. But the problem with Annie was that she had a lot of stuns and whatnot, and that's kind of why I lost early on. But me and the coordination with Rise really helped out with getting ahead, so that was really good.
Yeah, Prowler's Claw Renekton is pretty strong, and despite laning against the Annie, there was a point around 12 or 13 minutes where you were up a couple CS and had the kill and a couple of plates on top of her. So really good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So coming in, you guys definitely saw that Duergard on that J4 was going to be trying to taking a bit more aggressive style with the Jarvan as opposed to what he went for with the Zac. What was your game plan coming into someone you know was going to be aggressive, especially with such a strong kill-focused bot side like the Tristana Leona they had?
I definitely tried to match him as much as ganking-wise. I knew I could level 3 gank Annie, at least burn a flash, which we ended up doing, so I alleviated a lot of pressure mid lane, I feel like.
Yeah,
And,
which really helped.
Yeah. I tried to match as much as he could gank as well.
And game number 1 as well ended up turning out really well for you guys. In that section, you went for the Echo and the Set, respectively. Occasional miss the Echo rewinds, but we blink and miss those. It happens. Don't worry. Everybody has their times. Yeah. But yeah, you had a really solid performance on the Echo as the sole AP threat. What was it like were you kind of telling your team, hey, give me the ball a little bit, I can make some plays with an AP assassin here? Or did it just something that would fit the comp?
Definitely going into it, I knew Kaori and Freshie are primarily AD. So I knew going into our game I would have to pick AP champs here. So once I saw 3 squishies, I thought it would be good just to go all in here and just try to get all our marbles in one basket. So
definitely seems like it worked out for you.
Yeah, very good choice because we saw last time out a full AD composition not getting the job done. So my last question for the both of you here: your team is now sitting at 4-4, 5th in the standings, just behind Clown Gaming Spartans, who your team took a loss to yesterday. Do you think CSU has what it takes to be able to stay afloat in the middle of the standings or even challenge these top teams?
For sure.
I would definitely hope so, yeah. I mean, every game that we play, we only get better, so we learn.
Yeah, it's all about learning, and that is fantastic to hear. Thank you both so much for being with Bickle and I here tonight. Please go ahead and enjoy the victory with the rest of your team. You guys earned it.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have a good night.
You as well. And good night to the entirety of the Phoenix Esports League as we are done for this evening. But I believe we do have a game scheduled for this Friday at 8 p.m. I wonder if we'll see any games in between in the middle of the week. It's pretty likely. But right now, the only thing we got locked down Friday, February 3rd, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and you're not going to want to miss it. But that is it for us here tonight. So for myself, Bickle, our producer Snow, our interviewees Freshie Rise, and the rest of the esports Phoenix Esports League family. Thank you all so much for being here with us tonight. We hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you on Friday for some more Phoenix Esports League action.